You might have seen this piece of shit on TikTok. I know I have, unfortunately, because the algorithm is circulating this rot. 12,000 people have reposted this. They've circulated it. They propagated it. They promote it. They stand by it. 72,000 have liked this rot.
Capitalism is a problem because it changed the fundamental nature of your brain. Okay, so this is a article from the Atlantic.
1 second. I'm piped into something else. You could probably do it this way. Un momento, motherfuckers. Come on.
Capitalism is a problem because
And really, that's all you need to hear because it's bullshit. Nothing is mom and pop. If people were thinking for themselves, they would recognize this fact. They would also recognize, quick, fast, in a hurry, that the only thing holding society together is quite literally what has been demonized as capitalism. A civilized society where you trade and barter. One of the other problems is what? What you consider and what I consider and what we've been trained to repeat, having to do with, almost said circulation. I've been drinking. Currency. There we go. Currency. It should be what? Debt-based? Fuck no. Is it? Yes, unfortunately, because you and I are not surrounded by smart people. Also, bear in mind, I can't leave this on Zionist TikTok. It will be flagged because I'm criticizing people. Because I'm pointing things out you should think about. I'm talking about shit that reflects reality based on logic. Firmly rooted in logic. You'll arrive at the same fucking conclusions if you can connect dots and think critically. I guarantee it. But what do I know? Currency, not circulation. Unfortunately, there's no gold standard, there's no silver standard, and this is by design, not coincidence. Which is why you and I became a debt slave if you live in the States, in particular in 1913, when the Federal Reserve was established under the pretense of being both voluntary and temporary. It's absolutely unconstitutional. It is voluntary to this day. For the first time in my life, I saw a court case. This has to do with 2025, if that's actually the year. Keep in mind, technically it still is in theory, because the new year isn't until March 21st. But there was a court case that I saw online where these bastards openly stated, yeah, the IRS, that shit, totally fucking voluntary. But the problem is, if you don't have the moral majority behind you and you're not doing the right thing, you're going to get walked all over. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. In other words, nothing's going to change for the better if you and I are surrounded by brain-dead people who aren't willing to do the right thing. By all rights, retards. Retards. Retarded, stupid, superficial internet babies. And that's the type of people who think this sounds good because they were told that capitalism is bad. They're not looking around. They're not appreciating all the things that they've had all their days. I'm talking about here in the States in particular. All of that is because of capitalism. It's a corrupted version of it. Keep in mind, some of it is still mom and pop. It is disproportionately conglomerations, corporations, by all rights, a plutocracy pulling our strings in a number of ways, and it's only going to get worse. Because you and I are not surrounded by the moral majority who is in fact bright. They're nowhere close to bright. They're dimmer than the backwoods of Georgia, as I like to say. And they don't realize as much, and they don't want to. If you criticize these kids online, they will block you. They might whine at you first, and then block you. They might whine at you and disable things on their account so that you can't respond to them, and then block you. This is who you and I are surrounded by. These are divisive tactics. Our masters are training people to function as might a retard. And most do. It's only a minute. I'll keep going, I guess. Usually I won't. Let's see what else this bag of shit has to say.
Capitalism is a problem because it changed the fundamental nature of your brain. Okay, so this is a article from the Atlantic Monthly, which is a very popular magazine in the United States. There are these neuroscientists who have done brain scans, and they discovered that power causes brain damage. Okay, in fact, If you look at the brain of a psychopath and the brain of a wealthy person, it's pretty similar, okay? Yeah, they did brain scans, and it looks as though people who have too much money has brain damage. Why? Because a normal person is able to have empathy, is able to understand the feelings of others. Guess what? If you're too powerful, if you're too wealthy, you don't have the capacity to have empathy. You can't appreciate the feelings of others. So think of like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. They have absolutely no concept of empathy, okay? They are completely unable to relate to the feelings of other people. Capitalism is a problem because it changed the fundamental nature of your brain, okay? So this is a article from the Atlantic Monthly, which is a very popular magazine in the United States. There are these neuroscientists who have done brain scans, and they discovered that power causes brain damage, okay? In fact, if you look at the brain of...
Here's a thought. Any repetitive behavior will rewire your brain. This is quite literally what the MK Ultra sub-projects are based on. This is quite literally what the DARPA internet is based on. This is what quite literally social media is based on. This is what every divisive agenda attached to Wi-Fi is based on. Think about it. How many fucked up things do you experience on a daily basis when you jump online? Are things efficient or are they wildly inefficient? When you click on something or you take into another page, is there a pop-up? Is there fill in the blank? When you're scrolling, do you experience lag? Does it drag you back to the top of the slush pile? These are but a few examples which rewire your brain. Do you just click on an emoji because it's convenient? There's a little bar down there that was written into the algorithm to make you smile, make your day better on free social media. You just click on that instead of saying something? Instead of using your brain and coming up with something moderately clever, slightly original? You know, being an individual. Setting an example for others. Or do you, choose to march in lockstep and conduct yourself just like all the other copies of copies of copies of copies of copies? Who ironically also click repost on things like this.
A psychopath in the brain of a wealthy person, it's pretty similar, okay? Yeah, they did brain scans, and it looks as though people who have too much money has brain damage. Why?
Have you ever heard of that old adage or expression in this case? Power corrupts absolutely. I might be bastardizing it or paraphrasing it. Yeah? Anything that's going to jerk you off long term functions this way. Because you're not getting the sweet and the sour. You're not getting the good and the bad. You're only getting sunny days, motherfucker, which is disproportionate. It's not a genuine representation of how reality works. You're only eating food and you're never taking a shit. Does that happen? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But when you jump on YouTube, can you see the thumbs down? Do you know what I'm talking about? You can only see how many people liked it, how many people left an insulting Facebook thumbs up. Can you see how many people clicked thumbs down? No, you can't. Because you're eating food and pretending that you never take a shit. This is how things operate these days. This is why people are malfunctioning these days. This is why most people you meet are quite literally working for our masters and are the fucking angry villagers at the door who are everything that is wrong with this realm that you and I are part of. Most people believe and assume is the world. And this is superficial slop that anybody with a brain in their head should have already realized if I was, in fact, surrounded by smart people who are awake.
Because a normal person is able to have empathy, is able to understand the feelings of others. Guess what? If you're too powerful, if you're too wealthy, you don't have the capacity to have empathy. You can't appreciate the feelings of others. So think of like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg.
Think of haves and have-nots. And that wealth gap has become disproportionately out of control. It's a bad way to put it, but it's also true. That bleeds into something else that I plan to record for you guys. It's one of those things. Most of the things I've been leaving online lately, I shouldn't have to fucking leave online. You guys should already know these things because you guys should be, doing the right thing. Because you mean well, right? You're using your heart, you have a moral compass, and you have a brain, between your ears. And those things in tandem, you're using them, right? To benefit one another, including yourself, right? Because you mean well. Well, surprise, most of you aren't. Most of you aren't. You might have been told what you're doing is good, it's beneficial, and that you shouldn't stop doing it. But the chances are the garbage that you bought into has to do with you marching in lockstep. It quite literally supports the people that have, not the have-nots. Quite literally supports all of the things that are wrong today, not the things that are right. And the only reason you would end up in that boat, marching in lockstep with your horse blinders on, is if you weren't thinking for yourself. Now, I said this a while ago. Pardon me. So I think a day and a half or 2 days ago, YouTube deleted my Obsidian Monarch account. Some of you guys know about that. 3 people so far have trickled into the new account, which I set up in less than 8 hours after it was deleted initially. And I do this because I want to prove a point. Fuck this horse shit. They're not going to keep me down, etc., etc. As much as I can using their fucking bullshit. But I set up another account. One of the people I think that followed it, I think I knew who that person is. I think 2 technically. The third one that just trickled in is a cherry-picking piece of scum who I told to kick rocks. He's a poacher. And I told him to fuck off on my last account, but I knew he was waiting in the wings because he's a snake in the grass. This is how most people operate. And this just might affect who you are. This might just be who you are deep down, whether you realize it or not. Because you want what you want. Because we live in a society that, despite all these brain-dead kids waxing poetic about communism, they don't understand the importance of community, which goes back to mom and pop. And there's a big difference. There's a great divide between community and communism. Communism is fascism. It's a shade of fucking fascism, and nobody sensible would ever fucking repeat that shit. I should just say it, and I hate all these disclaimer statements, but people don't fucking think for themselves, and they won't arrive at these conclusions if I don't fucking spoon feed this shit to them. Hitler openly stated that the Nazi flag, the color scheme of the Nazi flag, represents communism. The Nazi Party was the Nazi Party, the Nationalist Socialist Party, or however it should be dressed up. You could figure it as much out. It was renamed, it was rebranded the Communist Party because they were a bunch of stinking fucking Nazis. Hitler was a controlled opposition asset. And the list goes on. Nothing good to say about that garbage. Nothing. And now that I said Nazis, I can't leave this on TikTok. I couldn't anyway, but it's another thing that's flagged because freedom of speech doesn't exist, which means TikTok is garbage. It's garbage. It's mind candy for brain dead cunts. Retards, morons, the bottom of the stack. And most people, that's what the moral majority are. They're quite literally the slush pile. The fucking idiots out there fucking everything up for you and I. So I was complaining about community and I was complaining about communism. If you were focused on community, things would be getting better, exponentially speaking. But people don't think about that. They don't think about a goddamn thing. And I had more things I was going to rattle off having to do with that, which were probably more insightful than what I just said. So I'll continue playing this video. It's almost done. But I do like where it stopped because this guy's a piece of fucking shit.
They have actually no concept of empathy, okay? They are completely unable to relate to the feelings of other people. Capitalism is a...
Oh, here's another thought. So accounts like this that get, 72,000 people liking their video. Do you think this guy could relate to someone such as myself who is in fact censored on the DARPA internet? Same idea. He's in the social feedback loop. The social engineering feedback loop. He's getting a pat on his ass every day. He's being told that he's doing a good job. Do you think he would stop doing this, especially if what he's leaving online is monetized? Probably not. He wouldn't do the right thing because he's making money on this. Right? Think about it. Just think about it. Do you think he would give two shits about somebody such as myself that gets 1 or 2 views on a video? Probably not. And he would probably think the worst of me too. Oh, well, his presentations, they're not like everybody else's. He's not marching in lockstep with the horse blinders on, saying the acceptable social engineering buzzwords. He's not marching in lockstep, misleading others by example. And if he wanted to have traction, because freedom of speech no longer exists and people like this support that by degrees, well, then I should just act like everybody else, right? And allow things to get worse and worse and worse? Fuck that. Which goes back to me setting up another Obsidian Monarch account, which isn't the worst thing. It's not that hard. It's harder than it used to be. I'll give you that much. But it's not that bad. But it's another reason why I set that up instead of letting a full day pass. Because fuck this horse shit. You should be willing to do the right thing, and most of you aren't. You might bob your head. You might think, yeah, what he just said, yeah. Because a lot of people out there, they'll wax poetic about celebrity puppets on the big screen and on the box. Because rebellious acts of this, that, and the other thing, the fuck authority, blah, 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 stick it to the man, all that other shit. People are walking contradictions who don't have the first fucking clue what's going on. And this most likely applies to you to varying degrees. Because most people haven't made much traction, if any. Which is why things are bad and why they're getting worse. And things like that should have dawned on you already. We are behind the 8 ball because most people are marching in lockstep and dumber than a fucking broken fiddle in an old shitty case. That's a horrible analogy, but like I said, I've been drinking.
Problem.
Did we get through all this? Maybe not.
Capitalism is a problem
Hold on.
because
Maybe we did. Ah, you motherfucker. This is what I get for drinking.
Capitalism is a
What is it doing? Well, awesome video. Thanks for hanging out.